Shalom, Israel. I'm Captain LeBron, the Israelite School of the Weekend, the Commander General Yahanna, inviting all Black Native Indians out to the 5th annual Fire Weekend.
Shalom, Israel. Come to the Fire Weekend, man, in Chicago. Midwest Fire Weekend. You know how we get down. July 21st to the 24th, we're going to be in Chicago.
You got a lot more to lose, man.
Under the Midwest Rock himself, Captain of 13,000
July 21st, we got 12 ships in the Yahanna with the scripture breakdown class, followed by Captain Yacht and Captain Katazai with Cross the Line Radio.
You know what I'm saying? We got the Banshee Festival coming back. We got the election coming. We're going to kick off the election with Captain Captain Katazai, and Kazak Yad. It's going to be called Fort Columbus Camp.
On the 24th of July, we're going to be doing the Black and Brown Unity Cookout. Shalom, Israel, to all my Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. From July 21st through the 24th, we're going to be holding the Midwest Fire Weekend. On July 21st, we hold a scripture breakdown with none other than 12 Shield General Muhammad from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., followed by Cross the Line Radio. On July 22nd, we're going to be having camp on the Magnificent Mile from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And guess what? Commanding General Yahanna will be speaking at 3 p.m. We're going to be located at 401 North Michigan Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. After that, we're going to have the Before Columbus Came lecture from 6 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. located on 9909 Roosevelt Road, Suite 100. On July 23rd, you can catch us at the Bantu Festival from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. We're going to be located at 1130 Midway Playtime Park, Chicago, Illinois. And then last but not least, we're going to be having the Black and Brown Unity Cookout from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. located at Douglas Park, 1200 West 12th Place. For more information, call 708-299-5821. Again, 708-299-5821. Also, if you would like to help out and support this troop and brotherhood, go to the Midwest Fire Weekend Black and Brown GoFundMe account and make a generous donation.
You already started on me? Oh. Supposed to tell me. Alright, Shalom on Christ is Officer of 1,000 Yahanna. This is the Monday Night History class. Alright, we're going to get into it. Alright, today's topic is slaves and a no freedom day, right? We all know today is a evil holiday called Independence Day or the 4th of July, where our oppressor, he celebrates his independence from Great Britain, right? That's what he celebrates. He's not, so it's not set up for black people to celebrate that. Because while they were celebrating that, we were still slaves. We were still in captivity, right? Okay. So at that time, we were still slaves, man. So us as black people celebrating it is like you almost like downing your ancestors. You spitting on your ancestors' grave by celebrating the 4th of July. Because it literally has nothing to do with you. You were still slaves. And we're gonna get into all of the history that is about that. That's talking about the 4th of July and how you still was a slave. So, but then you don't want to celebrate. The thing that's crazy about black people is we don't want to celebrate Passover, which is the Independence Day. That's our Independence Day, Passover, right? You also got the Feast of Dedication. That's another uh, that's another Independence Day that we had. And we gotten out of from the Greeks, right? And Passover is when we got out of dealing with the Egyptians, right? We was under their captivity and we got out of it and we celebrated that, right? That's what you need to be celebrating as black people. You celebrate when you actually got free. Juneteenth, you still not, even if you celebrate Juneteenth, you still are not free. You're only free if you can go back to your land that is called your own. That's when you're free, right? And other you don't have other nations that has control over you. Because you can even say like, okay, well the Haitians are free, right? But everything about them is dictated by other countries. All right? Puerto Rico, everything with them is dictated by other countries. They can't even, like Puerto Rico, it's something called, what's called the Fred Act. They can't, like everything has to go to America first to get taxed before it comes back to Puerto Rico. So they're still under subjection to another nation of people, even though they're on their own land, right? Everything they had is still ran by another nation. So they're not even independent. All of the 12 tribes, we still under another nation. None of the 12 tribes run their own nation. They might think they run a nation, but behind closed doors, other countries is running a nation. So like, who runs the U.S.? The U.S. runs the U.S., right? Who runs all of the European countries? Who runs Russia? The Russians, right? That's who runs it. Who runs the black people in America? The Caucasian people in America. That's who runs it. We don't run it. We don't have our own government set up. Soon as black people start trying to get their own thing set up, they come in and destroy it, take it. You know, a lot of times they use our women against us. Right? They may have our women destroy a lot of stuff. You even got brothers right now, they riding around, talking about the 4th of July, they riding around outside because of the 4th of July, doing fireworks, right? And it's not unlawful to have fireworks, but it is unlawful to celebrate it on your oppressor's holiday. That is unlawful. Right? All right. Let's get into it. All right, let me get into it. All right. All right. This is why African American struggle to celebrate Independence Day. So there is some people that don't want to celebrate this holiday, right? Because you know that you were still a slave. And then now, as you know, you have the internet and things like that, people have started to, you know, bring out different things and is able to get shared. So they say, well, why you celebrating Independence Day? Because you know, in the 90s and the 2000s, we all celebrated the 4th of July, right? We just celebrated a holiday because, you know, we had the day off, right? All the things was, you know, nobody had to work. So, you know, everybody got together, barbecue, right? You literally had a feast day on your oppressor's holiday. That's what you did, right? Growing up. You didn't have, you know, YouTube where you can spread a message out. You didn't have these things. There wasn't you know, the internet was new, right? Google really wasn't there. You know, you had, I think it was Yahoo real popular before Yahoo and AOL. Before Google, really, right? Yahoo, everybody, you know, you got mail, everybody remember that, right? Wait a minute, might be aging myself a little bit. But yeah, you got AOL, you know, Yahoo, that's what you did that's what all the search engines were. And it's what you used to search, but you didn't, you know, search black people stuff, right? Most of the time, you was trying to find out how to get all, you know, make mix CDs, man. You was trying to get all your songs, put them on a mix CD, so you could be, you know, put it on your CD player, and you had your songs on there. Go ahead.
Oh, you got about your AirShare.
Oh, yeah, AirShare, LimeWire.
And personal to something, I can't remember.
Yeah,
peer pressure share.
You know, peer.
Yeah, well, MD. And the little box, you know what I'm saying, put the internet on the TV, look on websites.
Oh, yeah, all that, man. You got all that stuff, man. I don't know you talking about the WebMD, but I know you did. So like, I remember that one. Yeah, you have aged yourself there. But I know we had, you know, you had BearShare, LimeWire, you know, Kazaa. What was they had? You know, they was trying to get your music, man. You know, that's what you was trying to get, put your music on there. You know, Big CDs was the joint back in the 2000s, man. Before, you know, the iPods, they kind of was starting to come out, but like, you know, they was expensive. You know what I'm saying? Kids didn't have that. You can get a CD player for what, like $40? At the time, about $40. And then, boy, when they came out with the ones that didn't skip if you bumped it, boy, you thought you was doing something, didn't you? Remember that? But you know, you had a CD player, you would tap it, and all of a sudden it would just stop the whole song. Dang. You be mad. But then they came out with an anti-skip CD player, you thought you was in the game then, right? But then, you know, iPods started coming out early 2000s, but like I said, that was before the iPhone and all of that. It started coming out and it started becoming more digital, and then it just went from there. But like I said, iPods wasn't cheap, so this wasn't something that a lot of black people had, especially black people that wasn't, you know, grown. Kids didn't really have iPods. You might have had one or two people in your whole school that had a damn iPod. You know what I mean? So then, you know, that's how that happened, right? You weren't able to Google these things if you were, you know, you didn't even think to. You know, and then it was new. You didn't have it as a source of information as you do now, right? You didn't have people that tell you that you was even an Israelite online. You didn't know that. You didn't have, like I said, you didn't have YouTube. I found out I was Israelite from YouTube, right? You didn't have YouTube. YouTube didn't come out to what, about 06, 07? And most of the time, all they had on there was fights. All you got on there was fights on YouTube. That was it, and it was new, like it's 06, 07. So when I first heard about it, I remember it. I remember when I think I was an auto tech. I was in high school. When you talking about, you know, somebody said, yo, you was putting up people fighting on YouTube. I'm like, what the hell is YouTube? And YouTube was what, like $1 billion company now? So like I said, we didn't have all this information getting shared like that. So that was kind of like the good thing about internet, but then now with internet, you got a bunch of idiots that can share what they want, what they think too. That's the downside. All right, let's get back into the topic. All right, fighting for our independence from Great Britain is one of the most significant accomplishments of our nation. But there's always an elephant in the room no one wanted to talk about or even acknowledge. So everybody has heard of this part in the Constitution, right? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by the Creator with unalienable rights, right? That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Anybody want to break down what that's supposed to mean? I want to break that down. All right.
Well, pretty much for Florida. Well,
Go ahead.
pretty much pursuit of happiness means that you have the freedom, you know what I'm saying, to do what you want. See, we try to celebrate our pursuit of happiness by celebrating our defeats by the present day. Every holiday is about defeats. They're thinking that, okay, y'all get a day off. Y'all thinking that, you know what I'm saying, you ain't gotta work that day. You thinking that, you know what I'm saying, you free. Only thing the president did just gave you a day off.
Yep.
Just to get together. They're thinking that, you know what I'm saying, you smoking weed, riding bikes, you know what I'm saying, having barbecue parties, they think that that's the pursuit of happiness.
Mm-hmm.
They will grow up thinking to believe that. But now, like I said, you got the internet and stuff like that, you be like, you looking at it like, you know what, my people still enslaved. We really wasn't free. The only thing we're free of is just a day of labor. And it's like, they trying to, you know what I'm saying, we trying to accept homosexuality, we trying to accept pedophilia to everything, we trying to fulfill everything to fulfill our happiness, because we don't have none of our own. We got our freedom stripped from us, we got our happiness took from us. They replace with their happiness. You know what I'm saying? As long as they see you happy, then how to celebrate their holidays. The other nations, they see that pursuit of happiness through our misery. You know what I'm saying? For celebrating holidays, celebrate Buddhism, for Islam, Egyptology, stuff like that. So, you know, the pursuit of happiness is, you know what I'm saying? According to these scriptures, you gotta follow the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High. What He gave us.
Okay.
Once you follow the law, statutes, commandments, you're gonna have the real pursuit of happiness.
That's what the Bible even says you're supposed to do is follow the Lord. Hey, you got the attendance sheet for me?
Okay.
Somebody just joined the conference call?
Shalom, Yahanna, Officer Zara checking in.
Sounds good. What's going on, huh?
Well, to what I've started yourself.
I'm too wild.
That's not request, sir.
Is there a pen? I don't see a pen on it. Oh, yes, a pen. I better work on it. The water. Okay. All right. Okay. I just want to read this to you real quick. This is the slave experience of the holidays. Right? Now this is going to talk about Christmas, of course. American slaves experienced their Christmas holidays in many different ways. Joy, hope, and celebration were naturally a part of the season for many. For other slaves, these holidays conjured up visions of freedom and even opportunity to bring about that freedom. Still others saw it as yet another burden to be endured. This month documenting the American South considered the Christmas holidays as they were experienced by enslaved Americans. The prosperity and the relaxed discipline associated with Christmas often enabled slaves to interact in ways they cannot during the rest of the year. They customarily received material goods from their masters, perhaps the slave's yearly allotment of clothing, an edible delicacy, or a present above and beyond what he or she needed to survive and work on the plantation. For this reason, among others, slaves frequently married during the Christmas season. When Dice, a female slave in Nina Hills Robertson, Aunt Dice, came to her master one Christmas Eve and asked his consent to her marriage with Caesar, her master allowed the ceremony. and a great feast was spread. Dice and Caesar were married in the mistress's own parlor, but for the white minister, more than any other time of the year, Christmas provided slaves with the latitude and prosperity that made a formal wedding possible. See, that's why we celebrate the holidays, because this was the time, the holidays were the time we got something from our slave masters. You got a little bit of generosity. It's Stockholm syndrome, basically. Right? Anybody know what Stockholm syndrome is? Stockholm syndrome is basically like if you have somebody that you kidnap, right? And then they're cut. Oh, go ahead.
Kyle concept. Wow. If I may, to answer your question, I feel like, when you go, a victim won't attach to their abuser.
Yep.
They start to think that their family, their friends, just from being kept in so long. It's life.
Exactly. Because what happens is you'll be still enslaved, but you'll get brief moments of generosity. So then now you become, oh, he's not too bad, because your mind is um, trying to process that you're in captivity. So it's your mind's way of tricking itself so that you don't, kill yourself, basically. You don't, because if you get like too depressed, you're gonna, if you still, your mind controls your body, right? If you get too as much in the way, you'll end up dying. So your body has coping mechanisms to make it so that you don't die. Go ahead.
Yeah, we got a precept for that also.
Go ahead.
But Jeremiah 2:14, is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why he is spoiled?
So it's saying there, it says he a homeborn slave. He's been born and bred to be a slave. Why is he spoiled? Spoiled means destroyed. And this is what was it, Jeremiah, right?
2:14.
Jeremiah, he was trying to ask, like, why is Israel, we just made to be slaves. We just meant to be slaves to other nations. But we all know this, why that is. Because we don't want to follow what our God told us to do. That's why we got to be slaves to everybody else, right? The Most High, He wanted us to be ruling over them. But He said, you follow my laws, man, you be ruling over all of them. They'll be picking your cotton, right? They'll be working for you, growing up your nation. But since, you don't want to follow me, hey, you want to make them your God, so I'm going to make you subject to them. Because basically, when you celebrate the 4th of July, you think you just a barbecue. You think, I'm just hanging out with family. You think I'm just enjoying the day off. You know what you really doing? You was literally celebrating the oppressor as your God. That's what you're doing when you celebrate the 4th of July. You're making the oppressor your God, and you celebrating him. Because none of these don't have anything to do with you. So you're making him your God. When you think about the 4th of July, you thanking the slave master that you get a day off. And you celebrating that. That's why like a lot of these holidays, man, we just stay the hell at the house. You don't go nowhere. You know what I'm saying? The most we might do, because it is a day off, we might ride around a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Because, we don't get many days off because you're slaving. But we don't go around celebrating and getting all into it, partying, cooking, barbecuing. We cook the same thing we would have cooked anyway, right? Do the same thing we would have done on that day anyway, right? You see on the 4th of July, what we doing? We teaching here. But guess who had the 4th of July off? The Christian pastor and their church. If they had Bible study on Monday, I bet you they took the day off. Mm-hmm. They celebrating it. That's how you can tell now I.S.U.P.K. we don't go by none of their holidays. We still come in to work.
Right.
Right? So everybody say something on the conference call?
No, you know I'm not that.
What's going on now? You too hot? Okay. So, you know what I'm saying? You know, like I said, you just, when you celebrate these, you are literally putting up, feast days to your oppressor is your God. Right? Alright, let's see what else it says over here. On a plantation, the transfer of Christmas gifts from master to slave was often accompanied by a curious ritual. On Christmas Day, it was always customary in those days to catch people's Christmas gifts and they would give you something. Slaves and children would lie in wait for those which with the means to provide presents and capture them, crying Christmas gift and refusing to release their prisoners until they received a gift in return. This ironic annual inversion of power occasionally allows slaves to acquire real power. So that's the same thing with your birthdays. You felt like you had some power because you can go and take somebody's Christmas gift and say to them, well, you're not getting your Christmas gift till you give me one. Right? That's why black people, we selfish now, man. We learned this from our slave master. This was a very curious ritual. That's what they would do, go around taking this and say, okay, you can't get it until, you give me something now. You gotta give me a gift. That's why even to each other, we don't take from each other. Like you all seen, somebody take something from you, right? Or you'll see it like in the movies where somebody takes something from you, and then they want to charge you for it, right? You all seen that, they want to charge you to give it back to you. We learned this from our oppressor. Alright? Let's go here. Henry, a slave whose tragic life and death is recounted in Martha Griffiths Brown's autobiography of a female slave, saved Christmas gifts and money to buy freedom. So that's what they did. They took their Christmas gift and got money back so they can get freedom. Some slaves saw Christmas as an opportunity to escape. They took advantage of relaxed work schedules. That's relaxed work schedule. That's another reason why we celebrated holidays, because we had relaxed work schedules. Like we had, how today a lot of brothers and sisters had a day off, right? You have relaxed work schedules. And the holiday travels of slaveholders. So they traveling around. You got people going all across town to go celebrate the 4th of July, right? Who were too far away to stop them. While some slaveholders presumably treated the holiday as any other workday. Numerous other authors record a variety of holiday traditions, including the suspension of work for celebration and family visits. Because many slaves had spouses, children, and family who were owned by different masters and who lived on other properties, slaves often requested passes to travel and visit family during this time. Some slaves used the pass to explain their presence on the road and delay the discovery of their escape through their master's expectation that they would soon return from their family visit. Jermaine Logan plotted a Christmas escape, stockpiling supplies and waited for travel passes, knowing the cover of the holidays was essential for success. Lord, speed the day. Freedom begins with the holidays. These plans turned out to be wise as Logan and his companions were almost caught crossing a river into Ohio, but were left alone because the white men thought they were free men who had been to Kentucky to spend the holidays with their friends. So we use it so even the slaves had even a little bit more common sense to use it to their advantage, right? But us, we just celebrated willingly now. Right? They was trying to get their freedom. But we just celebrated like it's nothing. Okay, we just go, it's nothing, just to go celebrate the holidays or whatever. But like I said, you subjecting yourself. You putting yourself in submission to these other nations by celebrating their holidays. That's you being in captivity, and now you celebrating the master's birthday. You all gotta celebrate it because you owned by him. Now you gotta celebrate all his days like they're yours. All his special traditions. You gotta now celebrate his. Right?
So I can
Go ahead.
talk about Christ. I watch Cooper Mom trying to check it in.
Hey, shalom on Christ, huh?
Shalom Christ.
It's a Bible over there?
Wow, sir.
Alright, so that's how we deal with the holidays, man. That's why we even still to this day want to celebrate this, because we had a little more, just an inkling of freedom, right? So let's go back to the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence in 1776 did not speak for all men. It only spoke for white men that owned land. So all it is, this wasn't even the poor white men. This was white men that owned land. So it's talking about the rich people, the people that had money, right? The upper middle class and up. That's what this was referring to. Out of 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence, 41 had slaves. Thomas Jefferson owned over 200 slaves. And thanks to DNA technology, he is now known to have fathered children by a slave, Sally Hemings. So he got a slave that he had babies with, named Sally Hemings, one of his own slaves, right? Because she was his property. All right? Charles Blockson, a scholar, historian, and author of African American culture and history, gave some insight on the signing of the Declaration of Independence. It took place on the first floor of Independence Hall, as fugitive slave violations were processed on the second floor. So, you see that, right? Where they had the Declaration of Independence, on the next floor, above that one, they was putting you in prison for trying to be free. While they signing for their freedom, they were processing, putting you back in slavery for trying to get your freedom. So we celebrate this. Why? Said Blackson said Independence Hall has a similar paradox. Downstairs celebrated freedom, and upstairs you have fugitive slave trials going on. All right. In 1852, abolitionist and orator Frederick Douglass, but you all know this was a white man, just so that's clear. His father was a white man, right? And orator Frederick Douglass was invited by the Ladies Anti-Slavery Society to give a July 4th speech. Douglass chose to speak on July 5th, the day he and other enslaved Africans decided to recognize the occasion. First, as a form of protest, and the second, to stay clear of the drunken whites celebrating on July 4th. Because you know what happens when your oppressor gets drunk, right? You all know what happens during this time, right? What happens? Somebody give me something. Go ahead.
Yeah, the bar drunk, gonna be a brawl, break loose.
What else gonna happen?
It's gonna be riots. They're gonna start getting a fight with the police and
all type of stuff, all right? Well, you can get somebody on the conference call. Go ahead. Azar, go ahead.
Come, sir, if I may. They what they did today and yesterday. They should play fire.
Yeah, shoot up stuff, yeah. There you go, fireworks right there now. They're on my side now. Probably drunk right now, shooting, ready to start doing something. They go around shooting guns. Give me something else. Somebody's about to say something too.
They probably get drunk and probably bully their brothers and try to sleep with their women.
Exactly, yeah. They want to go, what happens? They want to do violence to people, right? They want to do violence, and they want to do sexual acts. Go ahead.
yeah, it's like today was like a shooting on 4th of July. I don't know, they were saying it was a white man that
Exactly.
came in, killed 6 people, wounded a police officer, and injured 2 dozen people. So 30 people got shot.
Got drunk. Right? All that they want to do violence. They want to stay clear of that. Because when they get drunk, now they want to start doing lynchings. want to start doing violence, and then when they, cause you know, our oppressor, they have like a innate desire to to be a murderer, right? That's why the Bible even says he was a murderer from the beginning. They have like an innate desire to want to murder people. They can't get past it no matter what they do. They just want to murder people, right? So, and on the 4th of July, they get a little bit more brazen to do it. Because now, you know, you get they call, you know, alcohol the liquid courage, right? So the people that might have been a little scared to do it, you know, for whatever reason, now they're like, oh, we drunk, we in a mob, let's go kill some black people. Let's go hang them on trees, let's go set them on fire. Let's go raid their houses and take whatever we want, right? So without no repercussions on it. So they just stayed the other way from me. Said, oh, we don't wait till July 5th. So they, you know, they not drunk no more. You know how drunk people, you know how they get on what, St. Patrick's Day? Be drunk as hell, right? Douglas started his speech by recognizing the Declaration of Independence signers and giving them accolades on their vision for the Republic. He acknowledged that we are far from all citizens having the opportunity to enjoy life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So, you know, of course, like I said, he is an oppressor. So, but the one thing that you can even see, the ones that are like what they call in the world half black, even though their father might be an oppressor, like being enslaved to them is unbearable because they're secretly a devil. So they have to deal with something they feel as though they should not have to deal with, right? So they don't want to deal with having, you know, dealing with being with them. They don't want to be enslaved. They like, well, I'm my father's white. I should be free. I should look down upon you all. So he wants to free people, but not even for everybody else. He just wants to, because, you know, you feel like he shouldn't be a slave, right? And he said, then he let him know how he really felt. The sunlight that brought light and healing to you has brought stripes and death to me. This 4th of July is yours, not mine. You may rejoice, I must mourn. What to the American slave is your 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him more than all days in the year the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is the constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham. Your boasted liberty, an unholy license, your national greatness, swelling vanity, your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless. Your denunciation of tyrants, brass-fronted impudence, your shouts of liberty and equality, hollow mockery, your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgiving, with all your religious parade and solemnity, are to him more abominable fraud, deception, impiety, and hypocrisy. A thin veil to cover up crimes which would disgrace a nation of savages. There is not a nation on the earth guilty of practices more shocking and bloody than are the people of the United States at this very hour. That's a mouthful right there. He said all of this stuff is all of they trying to be the greatest nation. America thinks like they're the greatest nation. They are the worst. They're the most immoral nation. And me and my red, we was at a gun store the other day, right? And it was so funny. We had a devil tell us, he said, because I'm wearing my Babylon is Fallen shirt, and he said, he looked at me like excited, like you know, you know this is Babylon right here. And I said, yeah, I know. And he said, and it's Sodom and Gomorrah. I said, yeah, I know. So he's like excited to tell us that, you know, this he was telling us that this place is an abomination to God. It's the devil. He knows it. This is an abomination. He said it's the most immoral place in the world, which he is not lying. All right? Just like you got, it tells you all in the Bible. It tells you got the whore that sleeps on many waters. Like I said, that's a manifold scripture. It tells you First off, you know the military is on many waters, and another one, any woman that comes here, any woman that sees the West and that looks at the West, she wants to. What's the first thing she wants to do is become a damn whore. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing. Like I've even heard of people like, cause you know like in other countries like in the more eastern areas, their women aren't whores like that, right? And then a lot of them say they don't even bring their women here because they gonna be turned out basically, right? And they gonna get wrapped into being a whore. All right. Let me see. And he said this is more shocking. He said a thin veil to cover up crimes which would disgrace a nation of savages. So a nation of savage people, this would disgrace them how much evil that America has done to the black people, man. It will disgrace a nation of savages. Alright? The end of the Civil War changed things. 13 years after the Douglas speech, the Civil War ended, and all enslaved people were free. Before the Civil War ended, July 4th belonged to white Americans. It was their party, their freedom, and their right. They celebrated with full parties, parades, readings, and a lot of alcohol. Of course, right? After the Civil War, when all Americans were free, they emancipated the slaves, now made July 4th their Independence Day, which is a lie. Throughout the country, African Americans celebrate with full parades, readings of the Declaration of Independence, Emancipation Proclamation, and the 13th Amendment. Martial displays also became prominent over the years. Each year, black South Carolinians attended parades with African American soldiers leading ex-slave mounted officers and all black military companies named for black heroes and abolitionists. So now black people want to celebrate it now because we get a little token, which is you think you free, you get a little token of freedom, which is what makes you now think your oppressor isn't that bad. Because you free, right? We freed you. But you know everything has a catch. Everything that they do always has a fine print. What's the fine print of the Declaration of Independence? Anybody know? What's the fine print? I talk about this all the time now. Yeah, so I'm more specific. What's the fine print of the 13th Amendment? Go ahead. Okay. Go ahead.
Every man is free unless you locked up. And we all know it's too many of us locked up in prison.
Exactly. Unless they commit a crime, right? Unless you commit a crime, you are free. So what we gonna do? You gonna start, anybody remember they started trying to make sagging illegal? Anybody remember that? I think it was talking about it like in New York area, in the Northeast. I know you probably know it, Azar. Remember that?
Sir, sir.
Yeah, they wanted to make that illegal. But dressing like a homosexual ain't illegal, right? They want to make that illegal because black people do it. I think they even got penal codes for drinking or doing something on your porch. Because they knew black people hung out on their porch a lot, right? You had they had barrels for you to laugh in, right? That was lined up on the street because they didn't want to hear black people laughing. So if something was funny to you, you had to put your face in a barrel and laugh. That's why they get a barrel of laughs. You ever heard that before? Mm-hmm. A barrel of laughs. That's where that comes from. So all these things was, and they just made it illegal. So if you did these crimes, if you did a crime that pertains more so to black people, then they can arrest you and now you a slave again. They just made it so that you had to be them pretty much in order to not be a slave. You had to get rid of your whole culture. Go ahead.
Yeah, how about you guys, brother?
Yes, with that.
Officer Myers, another thing.
What's going on, Nike Tawad?
Yeah, I feel I don't like that other one.
That's correct. So that's about right there. So they would just make it illegal. Go ahead.
Well, it's heavy to have you mentioned about how we like to hang out on the porch and stuff. I.e., that's where they get the porch monkeys from.
Man, porch monkey, yep. That's what we call us porch monkeys. So things that pertain to what you did, they'll just make it illegal. Right? Whatever you did, make it. I'm trying to think of other things that was like black culture, you know. Playing rap music. Now it's a noise ordinance, right? But white people could play they headbanger music. Ain't nothing more disturbing than that. Man, don't give me a headache more than some headbanger music. That heavy metal, it's literally called a headbanger music. That's the only way you can listen to is by banging your head against the wall. That's how terrible it is, right? You like that music, don't you, sis?
Really?
She looking like, I like that music. But you know, the only way you can listen to that music, you gotta be banging your head against the wall. It makes you crazy. Which is why they are crazy. They want to, this is like, they play this music before they do crimes and kill people, do mass murders. They play headbanger music, right? Alright, let me get into this, sorry. Go ahead.
One, real heavy points, sir. You know, there was one of these Edomites, you know, he did a mass casualty event. You know, he took out a whole bunch of people, his own people, and this Edomite was a band leader. He was playing the headbang, what they call it, is like dark goth. He rapped about assaulting women, taking it, and a whole bunch of crazy blood drinking. And later on, they found him, you know, he committed a mass event to blacks.
Gonna kill people. That's their music. That's the music of murder right there. If you hear that headbanging, that's the music of murder right there. Alright? Okay, let's get here. So they will go around and go on parades and all of that. Black ex-soldiers and all of these different things, because now they feel like, you know, they are free. But you get a token of freedom, you get the idea of freedom. You don't get what real freedom is. Black people don't know what real freedom is. Real freedom is you have a home to go to. You have your own country. That you don't have other countries dictating how you go about, how you do anything. You stand independent, right? You even see when it comes down to the Ukraine, right? They fighting against another country, right? They have their own country, right? Because they fighting against Russia because they know what freedom is. They don't have Russia dictating what they want to do. And now Russia's trying to take back, you know, they trying to take that back from them. Alright. This show of black pride and freedom didn't go over too well. Eventually, Southern whites had enough of all the Black Independence Day parades and celebrations. So even when you celebrate their stuff, they have enough of it. They don't want you celebrating it. So why do you want to celebrate it? What does it do for you to celebrate the 4th of July? Or any day holidays for that matter? What does it do for you? They don't even want you to celebrate it, right? And they violently and systematically use their power to implement segregationist customs and laws to rid the South all official Black Independence Day celebrations. So now you can't even celebrate your own. You can't do any kind of Independence Day because they don't want you to be independent. You're not independent. That's what we don't understand. You think you're independent, right? But you don't. Black people don't even want to be independent. And as I.S.U.P.K, you don't even want to be independent. You want to be under the oppressor. I've heard somebody say before, and I say that they said to me that basically that we couldn't handle having our own country, having our own, governing ourselves. That our oppressor had to come because we weren't going to do it right. So Black people don't even want to have their own. They like being under captivity. They like it. Stockholm syndrome. All right? And it says here, can we all just get along? Now I won't celebrate it. Now I want to celebrate. Now you say you're not allowed to celebrate. African Americans in general have mixed feelings and emotions on this topic. For me, it wasn't always that way. As a kid, July 4th meant summer was in full swing. Fireworks, parades, and barbecues. Now when I think of celebrating freedom and independence, I think about the innocent, unarmed Black man killed by police. The crazy scenarios of living while Black when white people call the police for the most stupid reasons. We even got a name for people, they call them a Karen. A Karen is an oppressive woman calling the police on Black people for nothing. A little Black boy, he was trying to sell, lemonade or something? Trying to ask the little boy, does he have a damn permit to sell lemonade at his house? Do he have a permit? Wow, you go all up and down, they doing garage sales, yard sales, all of that. They don't need a permit for that. You don't need a permit to sell lemonade at your own damn house. You don't need no permit for that. But they want us to follow rules. They don't even follow themselves. Because they know that these laws, here's what they do. They just make the laws and don't enforce them on themselves. You can make whatever law you want, right? You just don't have to enforce it on who you don't want to enforce it on. So me and Rick, we was talking about even you might know about the R. Kelly situation and that other devil where she was giving away the doing the whole sex ring with Epstein. Anybody know about that? Anybody know anything about that? Go ahead, break it down.
If I may, with Ghislaine Maxwell was with Jeffrey Epstein having a sex trafficking operation for maybe over 15, 20 years with all the big stars like Bill Clinton, Trump, Bill Gates, so forth. So Epstein, he committed himself, he so-called killed himself in the Manhattan, a prison, right? Hung himself, but so now, but first, if I may, he was caught before in Florida and given like Pablo jail. He went to prison like 9 to 5 and came home on the weekend.
Exactly. He was at prison like a job. Go ahead.
If I may, so his woman, Ghislaine Maxwell, who's the daughter of a French billionaire, she just got convicted for about 20 years for like hundreds of kids. Like one French family sold their 13-year-old apartment to a office in New Jersey for like $300,000, right? So she got 20 years of prison,
most, what, 100? Absolute most, 100. Right? You know what I'm saying? And then I even seen a documentary of one of the girls, she just, like, they didn't, like, I'm not saying that they're not brainwashed. I'm not saying he didn't manipulate them. You know, I want to make that clear. What he did was wrong to the sisters, right? What he did was absolutely wrong, right? But what I'm doing is comparing the crimes to the sentences, right? He got 30 for, I even see one of the girls, she just got up and left the hotel room and went down to her mama. She called her and said, hey, I'm here, you can come down. She got in the, she got out the hotel room and went down to her mom and left. Those women, that Epstein, and I can never pronounce the broad name, but I'm gonna call her G something. Whatever, you know what she did? She didn't let those girls escape. She literally recruited them. They were supposed to go there, they were supposed to do something like modeling. She recruited them under false pretenses, subjected them to drugs, got them hooked on drugs, and then sent them off to be sex slaves. She did the absolute literal definition of sex trafficking. And she only gets 20 years. Right? R. Kelly, I was watching something on him, he didn't even let the women talk to other men. They went somewhere, he'll be mad at them, they went and talked to other men. So he wasn't sex trafficking them. Like, he wasn't giving them away to other people. He wasn't doing it. At least not like, if he did, it was definitely on Epstein. It wasn't on the Epstein level. It wasn't nothing like that. But you see that she only got 20 years. And she was a part of that whole organization. That's why this whole country is the most immoral place that you would ever find. That's the most immoral country in the United States. Go ahead.
Some real heavy on if I may. I forgot to mention as well, Epstein and Ghislaine, they had their own private island, and that was St. James.
Yep.
And he used to have charter private jets that flies presidents out every weekend. And they had boats that kept logs. They used to call it, it was so commonly known to call it the Lolita Express philosophy.
Yep. And then, if I'm not mistaken, go ahead.
Just kind of piggyback on what Oscar has already just said. Like, she made a plea deal here recently that to not bring out no more names. She's supposed to serve her time in the United States, but she made a deal to not give up names and go serve her time back in the UK. And I don't know if y'all know about the prisons in the UK. They like smaller punks. It
Yeah,
ain't
they
even real
chill.
yet.
They chill.
Yeah, they be chilling. Like, in some jails over there, like your family can come live with you. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, there might be 9 to 5 prisons over. Hey, it might be 9 to 5 prisons over there.
she going to live comfortably, and R. Kelly, he's sleeping on that hard cot. You know what I'm saying? He gotta get out there. He gotta get his food off that cow there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
He done, right? R. Kelly done. He's in prison. She probably gonna be 9 to 5 prison. All of that. That's what she doing. Gonna be 9 to 5. And you gotta, just to show you this immorality of this country, the reason why she was able to get it is because the people that probably sent her to the UK to serve out her time was the ones sleeping with the little girls. Right?
Yeah, I just want to make one more.
Go ahead.
I just want to make one more point. After somebody else posted a post, he said, how you call this the land of the free when we got the highest incarceration rate?
Exactly. We the highest incarceration rate. Right, the highest. There's nothing free about this country. They have more people in jail than you did during slavery. And I brought out last time, about a couple weeks ago, all the stuff that slaves or prisoners, whatever you want to call them, what they make. You know, you see it on TV, they was making all the license plates. They make a bunch of stuff, right? And then the insurance system, all of those big insurance companies, they base, they reinsure themselves with the slavery of people, of black people, man, with the slavery, because they know they got a school to prison pipeline, and they say, okay, we can have, we got such amount of people going into prison, so, and they serve a this amount of years that they got to serve in prison, an average amount of years. Let's say they all serve 10 years, and we get 100,000 people every year going to prison, and they all serve a minimum of 13. Let's say 10 years for easy math. So okay, they count out all of the dollars and say, okay, this is what each person is worth, and they count you. You was literally a slave now. So you are your worth, and what they sold you for, that's what they're selling you for now. When you go and commit a crime, now they selling you, okay, every person that we have that go into prison is worth, let's just say $1 million, right? Because they're not gonna pay you anything while you doing all that work. They're gonna pay you 50 cents a day, right? But you doing work that's getting them thousands and millions of dollars a year, right? And then niggas gonna pay you 50 cents a day. So it's nothing. You basically getting slave wages. What you think slave pay? What you think you pay the slaves? And what they in, like, food or water or whatever. Probably about 50 cents a day. Same thing. You just got a little bit of water, you got some food, and you got somewhere to sleep at. They give you basic necessities, nothing else. And then you was happy to get some new boots. Right? You happy to get some new boots, some new socks, some new underwear. You thinking, man, you living it up now. You got some new boots on in prison? Am I lying? You brothers third time, am I lying? Right? You think you doing something. You got new boots on. Alright? He says, I think about voter suppression laws, gerrymandering, redlining, and unequal school funding. Can somebody look up, I'll try to look it up real quick. Gerrymandering, the dividing of a state, county, etc. into election districts so as to give one political party a majority in many districts, or concentrating the voting strength of another party into as few districts as possible. So basically, that's when the people they don't want to vote like us, they try to put you in one area so that you can't spread out like that, right? You can't spread out and be in a bunch of different cities. You gotta only be in one area that they keep you in, and that's all of your voting will be. So you'll win. So like, let's say we wanted to vote for, the new governor, right? You want to vote for the new governor, new mayor. Let's just go to governor, right? You want to vote for the new governor, right? So what they would do is they'll make it so that the place that you actually have, that you voting, that okay, you'll win Fulton County, right? But you're not able to spread into DeKalb County. You're not able to, spread into Clayton County. What's some other counties? Gwinnett, Forsyth. If you're able to spread into all those different counties, now you got a stronger, voting. See what I'm saying? Because you're spread out. But if every black person is in Fulton and black people want to vote, one way or the other, now that's going to concentrate all their vote. They only win one county, and that one county only has one vote that they submit over to, for the governor, right? It's sort of how the electoral college is. So every state can only have, one or two representatives, It doesn't matter how much the population is, because when slaves were, black people were getting out of slavery, at least carnal slavery, they had more numbers in the South, but they had an electoral college so that they couldn't have a higher representation of, they couldn't have a higher representation in the South than they do in the North. All right. So they didn't want to, they unequal school funding. Everybody knows black schools, you always got the books, 5 years later, they've been bit on and chewed up, right? They are destroyed, the binding is almost missing. You see, you remember how, y'all remember back in the day, you used to have, you would write down your name on the book, on the front part, on the front of it, you would write down your name on the book. Your name would be like the 8th name that you have on there. There's all them kids that had the books before you. So you had no school funding to do anything, right? So that's the school to prison pipeline. Because you weren't able to get a trade or learn stuff. They really did that hard in the 80s. They took away all the trades, and now because they wanted you to go to prison, your trade was to be a prisoner. Go ahead.
So heavy, you know what I mean? And by the time you read the book, they already done put down all the answers. And you copy it, you follow it, and you find out the hard way that they got the wrong answers. A lot of times.
Exactly. They write down all the answers to all the questions or whatever, and it's wrong because they, like I said, they didn't use the book. You got missing pages. All that in our books. Am I lying? Am I saying something that's not true?
That's a lot.
Go ahead.
Another thing they did also, you know what I'm saying? They took the like the trade out of the school.
Mm-hmm.
Brothers was learning trade, and they took like the YMCA, the boys club, and stuff like that. They took that away, and that was to even ensure that these young black boys was going straight to jail. They had no trades, they had nobody to, I used to go to the Y's maybe, and you always had that older coach. You acting up, he gonna get you right. You know what I'm saying? He gonna stay on you.
Mm-hmm.
And they even had after school programs. So they took all that stuff away. So now you got these little young kids. The only thing they can do is go join the street gang. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Just think about the whole system of schooling, right? They try to make boys sit still. Anybody know how hard it is to make a little boy sit still? You understand what I'm saying? Y'all was little boys at one point. How hard was it for you to sit still? Extremely. Right? So they make you be in school all day, don't let you exert your energy. They take away all of the school activities. Like I didn't even know, I don't know if y'all had it or not, but like I didn't even know that people still had recess when I was going to school. I ain't had recess till I went to a whole different district when I was in the 6th grade about some damn recess. Only thing I knew was about recess was the TV show, the cartoon. I ain't know nothing about no recess. They ain't let you had to bottle up all that energy you had, and then by the time, why you think they go nuts by the time they get home? They'd have been sitting still all damn day. They teach you like you a little girl, because girls, they don't mind sitting still trying to learn something. A boy, they gotta learn hands-on. They gotta do, that's how boys have to learn. So they make you try to sit down like a little girl. They take away, the men, they make it so that the men ain't in the home to discipline the boys. And now you got them being raised by a single parent, right? With a woman, she's more emotional than men, right? But the difference is in America, a woman can be emotional and don't get put in jail for it. A man becomes emotional, he's going to prison, right? He's getting locked up. So they make them emotional, they make them soft. Hell, you don't even remember back in the days, you used to just fight. Now they don't even fight no more, they just want to shoot you, right? Fighting, you don't even, a lot of times unless it's severe or whatever, somebody presses charges, which most times didn't happen in the hood anyway. You know, if you will fight, you might win, you might lose, and that's it. That's the end of it. You go shoot somebody, now the police is involved. Now they able to come in and arrest you, right? So they make you soft, they glorify violence upon each other, they take away all of the trades, because America doesn't run on, like a country doesn't run on higher education trades, right? Like psychology. Psychology doesn't build things. Y'all understand that, right? So psychology is not part of building a society. The only things that are is STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, right? That's the only thing in college that actually builds a nation, that builds the infrastructure, right? But then you go to get a psychology degree, an English degree, what's that gonna do? Make you a slave kid, because now you gotta pay off them damn school loans. $100,000 for a damn English degree. And you working out for $30,000 a year. You could have done that without the English degree. I made $30,000 a year when I was 18 years old. I might have made a little more than that. But I'm saying, like, you can do it, and I don't have a college degree. You can make money without having to do that. If you say, get yourself in the right, if you try to learn like a trade or something, now you can go on Google and learn how to, do some of this, stuff with computers and make you money now, right? But then at this time, they took away all these programs in schools, and they want to fill your mind up with nothing. They take away the jobs, take away the fathers, and then that's what they know that they can keep filling up them prisons, keep filling them up with irrational men or young men going back in prison, right? Keep putting them back in prison. And now, we was even watching a show that's like, now they saying it's unconstitutional to put a minor in prison for the rest of their life. And they still not letting the black people out. Most of the people that's on there is black people. The only ones we getting out is the Caucasians. They not letting black people out of prison. They did it when he was 15 years old. Right? And nope, he ain't getting out. He's staying in. Alright? Okay. I think about the brown migrants who are being caged like animals because they dared to flee their hell trying to find a better life. They talking about our Hispanic brothers, the Mexicans, right? Israelites. They being caged like animals because they tried to flee the hell that's in Mexico. Now the hell in Mexico is because of the oppressor. That's why it's hell in Mexico. Mexico wasn't hell before them. The Mexicans, they was together. They used, like we brought it out before, they used the Zebulon, the tribe of Zebulun, and all of they used them to fight against the Israelites. They used them to fight, to go and try to take them over. And then when they took them over, the Mexicans asked, the Aztec Indians or the Israelites, they never been the same since. Right? And then after they did what they did to Zeb, with the Israelites, right, Mexico, they said, okay, well, thank you for helping us destroy them. Now let's come destroy you. That's when I brought out the Panama Deception. They came over there and killed thousands of Zebulun brothers out there. Zebulonites killed thousands of them in that little war they had over there. But they try to wipe their slate clean like this ain't happening. Alright? I think about all the money wasted on July 4th, 2019 in Washington, D.C. for a politicized, hideous show of military force to pacify a power-hungry, incompetent narcissist. How much will that cost? How many toothbrushes and bars of soap could we buy for the migrant children living in unsanitary conditions with that money? How many houses for homeless veterans can we buy with that money? They'll spend $1 million to try to get people to do a march on a parade, but don't want to feed the homeless. Don't want to take the $1 million and put somewhere for the homeless to live at. Right? They'll let them roam the streets. Because you know why, right? They can lock them up now. If they try to catch them in the dumpster, they'll lock them up for being, trespassing. Now they can lock them up. And we was talking about it one time that it was like a racetrack down like in South Georgia. It was all like concrete asphalt, right? I think I was talking about my father-in-law, right? They had to hire, like they spent millions of dollars for this. They hired people to get dirt, put it on the racetrack, so they could have like a dirt race, right? And then when they got the dirt, they had to manage the dirt. That's right, they managed the dirt. And then when they got done with the event, they had to then get somebody to go clean up the dirt. Why didn't they just get a place that already had dirt? Right? Makes sense. But they'll rather spend that money on dirt. So dirt is better than blacks and Hispanic poor. The dirt is more important to them. You understand what I'm saying? Literally dirt. You was lower than dirt. They rather pick dirt up and put it down than feed you. Alright? And then when they feed you, they got an issue with it. They want to talk about all the black people on welfare. They want to talk about all the black people on welfare, right? But when they feed you, they got an issue with it. They'll spend countless millions on dirt. On moving dirt from place to place. Alright? Alright. Okay, now it's talking about Juneteenth. Like, that's when black people got, free from carnal slavery. Alright? It said, although the Emancipation Proclamation freed the slaves on January 1st, 1863, only the Union states acknowledged the order. It wasn't until the Civil War was over that the news reached all the Confederate states, and those not already in compliance were forced to comply. So you still wasn't free. This is 1865, the African American community celebrated Juneteenth. In 1980, it became a state holiday in Texas. And the 19th of June declared Emancipation Day in Texas. Currently, the District of Columbia and 45 states acknowledge Juneteenth as a state holiday or a state holiday observance. Advocates are working hard to make it a federal observance. So this is before everybody knows that Juneteenth is now a federal holiday. And that's what Biden did to try to make black people, make black people feel like he on their side. He give you a holiday, a day off. You get one day off of slavery. And now now everybody love Biden now. Right? For some, the 4th of July tells only half the story of freedom in America. The 19th of June completes the cycle of Independence Day, celebrations in America. The 4th of July freed the land from Britain. The 19th of June freed all the people. So you really can't talk about freedom in America. Let's talk about the 4th of July and the 19th of June. So because you were still slaves, man. Still slaves. Okay. The United States still restricts the freedom of millions. Today, nearly 2 million people are incarcerated in U.S. prisons and jails, and thousands of immigrants are detained awaiting deportation. Black and brown people are disproportionately harmed by this overreach. They are far more likely to be stopped, searched, arrested, convicted, harshly sentenced, and saddled with lifelong conviction records than white people. Black and Latino people make up roughly 32% of the U.S. population, but represent 56% of the incarcerated population. I think it's actually higher than that. It's not only people who are incarcerated in brick and mortar jails and prisons who aren't free. A staggering 10.5 million arrests each year trap people experiencing poverty and homelessness, people with substance use and mental health conditions, people who cross the border seeking refuge, and others in criminal, legal, and immigration systems designed to punish them. More than 70 million people, 1 in 3 adults, have conviction histories, some for things as petty as loitering and disorderly conduct. Probation and paroles depend the lives of 4.5 million people nationwide, imposing restrictions that make it harder for people to find and keep jobs, go to school, or access services that they need to thrive. People who don't meet the burdensome requirements of supervision can find themselves reincarcerated for something as minor as failing to report a new address. So you can go back to jail if you got out of jail if you don't report a new address. It's just little simple, just little simple misconducts, some little simple things. They'll put you back in prison for it. You move from your mom's house to your dad's house, but you don't know you might go back to your mom's house. So you don't change that you've been living there for 2 days, now they want to put you back in prison. Right? And they keep the law strict on those, like you have to go in you gotta go see your parole officer, right? You don't go see them on times that's not work hours, right? They want you to go in at 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock, right? Submit, go talk to them, see how you doing. So how is an employer supposed, you gotta get there. Most of the time you got a prison, you don't have a car, you don't have a vehicle. You get support from friends and family members. They may or may not have a car, but even if they have a car, they probably got a slave they gotta go to as well. So how they gonna get you back and forth to your parole officer? Then now if you miss that appointment, then now you get fired from your job, now you back on the streets again. So it's just a never-ending cycle to put you right back in prison. The entanglement with the criminal legal system impacts every aspect of people's lives. People with conviction histories have a harder time getting jobs due to legal barriers and outright discrimination. So now they can't even get a job because you got a criminal record. You can't even get a job, and when you do, you can't hardly keep it because they keep making you go to your parole officer. You might have to go to them once a week. A job, they need you there. They hired you to be here. They need you there. Right? But you can't because you keep going to these parole board meetings, right? And there was a brother that got wrongly convicted of raping a sister or whatever, wrongly convicted of it. He couldn't hardly keep a job. It took him a long time just to be halfway normal because now he's a sex offender. He's not a sex offender. And you could being a sex offender, I'm not saying you should do it, but you can get a sex offender from, walking around naked outside. You are now a sex offender, right? They catch you doing that, now you a sex offender now. So it's little things. It was a brother. He had he was like maybe 16, laying with somebody else, might have been a devil or whatever, laying with her, and he recorded it. Now he's convicted of being a sex offender. It doesn't even have to be actual sex offense. It's just because they can tie you down as being black, and of course they try him as an adult. Now they just say he had sex with a minor. That's statutory rape. But he was a child as well. He was not an adult. So they can lock you up and keep you from thriving now. So now it's just like I said, it's just a never-ending cycle. They get you caught in there, then you can't never get out. That's why they enforce child support a lot harder on black people. They enforce that. So if you can't pay for your child, they gonna lock you up before they lock anybody up. You going to jail. Right? Alright. Okay. Okay. People they have a hard time getting jobs due to legal barriers and outright discrimination, resulting in a lifetime of lower wages that serve as a perpetual drag on the earning potential of tens of millions of Americans. They also face obstacles securing housing, so you can't even find somewhere to live, because you know they run your criminal background to get an apartment, right? Loans, they want you to get a house. They want to run your criminal background to get a damn house. Public assistance. Nah, you gotta to give you public help. You gotta run your background and even driver's license. Now they don't want to give you a driver's license, so they purposely, after you serve your time, you know, you serve your debt to society, you can't even get back on your feet right. No other country does this to people. How you expect to rehabilitate them, and then you put them, like you already was low on the totem pole being black or Hispanic, and now you ain't even on the totem pole? You gotta get back on the totem pole. You was already at the bottom. Now you in the dirt somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And in all but 2 states in the District of Columbia, people who are incarcerated lose the right to vote. And in several states, they lose the right even after release. Somebody says, Salaki. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say another way they trick us while we young. Like a brother can go, first they put, he'll be the hardest charge they can put on. Then they get brothers in there. Brothers can't afford no lawyer, so they go to that they go to that plea bargain and try to face it. A lot of times, if a brother innocent or feel like he can plead or whatever, he don't want to take that plea bargain, just going to get out, not knowing he young, not knowing what they like. They ain't gonna get no job. Like what you were saying.
Yep. And if you notice a lot of those plea bargains, what do they always give you? They always give you a felony. Right? But your oppressor, they'll drop it down to a misdemeanor. But you gonna have a felony. Because a misdemeanor means you can still get a job and, you know, get a firearm and all of that. But a felony, you can't get none of that. Alright? This burdensome system has ravaged the lives of millions, stripping them of their ability to live freely while failing to make our communities any safer. In 1852, Douglas said that more still need to be done so that all citizens can enjoy life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In 2021, the millions who are incarcerated, detained, or live with conviction histories, disproportionately people of color, have not been able to realize the freedom this country celebrates and names. It's time to change that. It's not no time. It's not going to change. They're not going to let their slaves free. You understand? The only thing you can do is you start following these laws, and the Most High will set you free. He will get you out of the captivity. When you keep on, you keep looking around. What it say? You keep looking around for vain hope. This is a vain hope, thinking that you can change America. Can anybody find that scripture for me? I was waiting for vain hope. Somebody see somebody. So like, see if somebody can find that for me real quick.
That's law.
Go ahead.
In the book of Lamentations, chapter 4, verse 17. As for us, our eyes had yet failed for our vain help. In watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us.
Mm-hmm. Our vain help. So that's what our eyes has yet failed for our vain help. We keep looking around for vain help. Just talking about America. You keep looking for help and it's not coming. There's no substance in the help. In our watching, we have watched a nation that cannot save us. So we keep watching. We have watched for a nation. They're not going to save you. Because why would you set your slaves free? They're yours. There's what make your country great. They're not going to let you free. There's no way to change that. Why you think the LGQRS community can get rights quicker than black people can? Right? Why you think they can do that? Because who's in that community? Caucasians. Right? And the people that are there, the blacks that are there, are effeminized, and that's just what they want. That's just what they want you at. They don't want you to fight. They don't want you to come and try to conquer them. They want you to be a homosexual. Alright? Or a transsexual. They want you to cut off what makes you a man and become a woman. Alright? Anything else you want to say? Any questions? Anything you might want to bring up? Go ahead.
When I be hearing y'all say Bible for shot, that ain't like the faith like the video
You said is that a what?
name or that I was saying that's like is that one of the brothers' names or is that
No. Bible Koshai is just it just means please in Hebrew. So Bible Koshai just means hey please I'll do this. Bible Koshai, You try to be polite, you know what I'm saying? Alright. Anything else? Alright, with that, pass the class out to prison officer the pastor.
This is I.S.U.P.K security announcements. Where the I.S.U.P.K start at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Room for a new brother and sister. When new brother and sister come to the school, they are limits for 6 months. They are here to be saluted only. They are here to save themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment in the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21, and the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 to 10. My Ishra, that means 10 in the Hebrew. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest bond, free will offer for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you like to give. Next holy convocation is going to be a memorial of the blowing of the trumpet. It's going to be September 25th, Sunday, sundown. I'll give my walk-in to check the bulletin board in the hallway. If any brother wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black, boots, shirt, pant, headband, and a scarf. And to Google the address every time you're head to the school to help build algorithms for the school. With that, get one curse to teacher Israel. Amida Sabat, Amida, Rock, Yahweh Shem Yahshua Well, I say to you, Allah Shawakadash, may the Most High, in the name of Christ, bless you. Y'all never taught me hands down. Sister Amida, stand. Give one her salute to sister in the class, Mini Israel, Amida Sabat, Amida, Rock, Yahweh Shema El Shem Yahshua.
Yahweh Shema Alatham Bahashim Yahushua.
While they say to you, sister in Allah Shawakadash, may the Most High, in the name of Christ, watch over you. Hands down, y'all to top, class dismissed.